Has everybody had a chance to look through the minutes, or if so, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Glenn.
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
We have to vote, Tom, with Tim not being here? Okay.
He's not remote either, I guess.
No, not remote either. Same for the claims. If you had a chance to look them over, I'll entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I'll make the motion to approve the claims.
I'll second it.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A couple things just to update, going through some of the minutes from last meeting, just kind of briefly hit on that. As far as the bypass signage for the railroad tracks, for the stoppage there, they didn't appreciate the signage that we were going to put up there without going through the proper channels of list. So I've been in contact with them yesterday and also today, and they're working on some kind of solution other than the flashing lights, which is what they actually recommend that we do, try to get some detour around certain places, which is not going to solve the problem. So we're working on it. So obviously the signage part didn't quite work as well as we thought we was going to do.
It was the railroad that complained, or the
No, it was
highway?
NDOT and Sioux. So railroad have no, they didn't have any
They
problem.
don't care.
And we did, since the last meeting, we reported that we were going to close on the Maple Park property, which we did. So that has been taken care of, and so now that has been all done. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob. Are you there, Rob?
Yes, I am.
Okay, in regards to the Matrix quote and the care agreement for that?
Yeah, this is a new end of contract that we have with Matrix that we renew every year. It covers all the telephone equipment. It gives us a 4-hour response window for emergency repairs. And it's also 24/7 technical support if we have problems with it. As part of this, so this contract begins August 1st, 2021, and ends July 31st, 2022. So it's a 1-year contract. It allows them to do a major upgrade 1 time per year and 2 minor upgrades to our hardware. We have 10 locations with routers and servers in each location, and these are the Cisco pieces of hardware for the phone system. As part of this, we carry a SmartNet coverage from Cisco. It covers the hardware and the software. If we have any issues, we have support from Cisco. It's something we need to carry. Unfortunately, SmartNet's cost part of the money, but we need to carry them because if we have a piece of equipment fail, we need to have that 4-hour response window available to get new equipment in and up and running. The last year's quote for this renewal was $31,500. This year's renewal was $26,500. The reason it went down $5,000 is that we had purchased completely new phone servers and the water treatment plant in the police department last year, and we bought 3-year SmartNet licensing for those pieces of equipment. So that's why we have a $5,000 reduction in the cost. I don't know if there are any questions.
I don't know, I see, is Stacy on there?
Yes, she is.
Okay, I didn't know, Stacy, did you want to say anything? You're on mute. I guess not.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now we can,
There.
thanks.
Okay. I'm double muted. I have 2 different devices going. Okay. So the reason for that is, I guess you guys didn't hear me, so.
You're just
So when we did the server upgrades, we also then put you into a different licensing model, which is going to save you a little bit of money, but you are getting a separate invoice for those. So it's like $3,600. So it's about $2,000 savings this year, and next year it'll be about $1,000 savings.
Okay. You all have any questions?
All the new phones at the water plant are also covered under this, one of these plans?
Which phones are you referring to, Steve?
I thought you just said that we got a new server or something We got new something at the
Yes,
water
it's
plant.
I'm sorry, it's the new phone servers, the hardware servers. There's one at the water treatment facility and one at the police department. It's the hardware that runs our entire phone system.
Right. But that's also, that's covered under this 4-hour response time also?
Yes.
Okay. That's really my only question. I couldn't fully understand what Rob was saying, but I thought he said it was reduced some because we got new equipment somewhere. Okay.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the quote from Matrix Integration.
I'll
Motion made by
second it.
Steve, second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Stacy, for being on there.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, council.
John, you're up.
With gas. They did get 2 services installed this month, 11 on file. Contractors are ready. Today they did run and finish up, they run a service to the Beehive Apartments, the gas line. So that's going to be, they got the main run there, we just got to set the meter yet. So as you can see, that building's coming along pretty quick. Big building too.
It is.
So, got that. And they did replace the service beside of Shiloh Church in Jasper, Ireland. That was a steel line that went to the building that come off of high pressure. It's put in probably 30 years ago for some reason. An air conditioner, 2 air conditioners got set right in front of it. There was a small leak there, but really no way to get to it. Plus it's a high pressure, so and it's close to a window, which is not code anymore. Got to be several feet away from the window, so in case there was a leak, it wouldn't draft into the window would happen to be open. So we decided to go on a low pressure, run a plastic line and kind of relocate it while we had the boring crew over here. So we did bore that in. And we bored 720 feet of 2-inch plastic main on Division Road. Back in the early 80s, we got a 6-inch line there. A 1-inch line was tapped on the 6-inch, feeding, I guess back in the early 80s, there's just a handful of houses there. But now, since the last 40 years, it's grown up quite a bit. So instead of that little 1-inch line, we want to back it up with a 2-inch. Like a 1-inch line, time you do the tap's by that size of a pencil eraser feeding all these houses with the gas. So we went on the end of the line and we bored in a 2-inch and tied it back into the 6-inch. So now we got plenty of service there for them in the wintertime. And then they bored a 900-foot service to Southridge football field. That's going to feed a couple buildings there and the future RAC building. They wanted gas service, so they picked up the cost after 100 feet. So we're going to be sent a charge for that. While the boring crew is here, we just had all these boring projects lined up. Since we got a USDI from Illinois has got to come over, so hopefully we're done boring for a good while. And after everything was bored, then they went around and tied all the ends in, pressure tested everything, and then run the meters. So that's basically what they've been working on this month. Any questions on the gas? The electric, cut down 9 trees that were directly under the power lines. We got permission from the homeowners, which were more or less a courtesy, that we let them know what we were going to do. They were fine with it. A couple of them were along the highway. While the highway was closed, we cut 2 or 3 of them down to get them out from under the lines. Then we did run our underground primary to the Beehive Apartments. The meter is on the building. We got that all done. And then we run primary for the future duplexes on the south side of Chestnut Gardens. Actually, I think they're going to start on the north side. They did start footers just today. I think they're digging footers for the north side apartments on the outer loop. And yesterday they did install the street lights, and they are now working in the inner circle there. So we got all that done. Then we replaced the pole on Old Highway 231 and Van Buren Street. We had a major outage a week ago. The semi hauling a piece of heavy equipment on Old Highway 231 caught the Spectrum line, knocked our lines together, burned them down. Got a call from Glenn, and it was just constant calls after that. So we kind of isolated it. We got the power back on to the rest of the town because it knocked the whole north sub out, which is basically half the town. In order to have Spectrum raise their line, because we measured, actually they were below the NESC code, but we looked at our pole, we got short poles there, so we really couldn't make Spectrum raise them up because they really didn't have no room to raise them up, so we ended up setting a taller pole there. We had Spectrum there right after we set the pole, so they raised their line up. Don't want it to happen again, so we took care of that. And we did last month, we got the approval to get quotes for overhead doors for the electric department building, which they're getting pretty rough shape. The lowest bid was DuBois County garage doors, $16,476.16 to replace 6 doors. 3 of the doors are like 14 foot tall. The others are close to the average height. Need approval for the quote, the lowest. I do have it in the packet.
So who are the other ones? Evansville and who else, John?
Evansville garage door and Schlocko garage doors.
Oh, okay. I see there.
I think the Evansville garage door said they're expecting a 19% increase in cost for doors, I think, coming shortly. Glenn can probably testify to that.
Yep.
So we got the quotes just in time to beat the 19% increase.
Well, I go along with John a little bit because DuBois County is local. We call them and they're there right away for fixing the things or that type of thing. So since they're especially the lowest one anyway, that would be my recommendation, but that's up to the council. So.
I would make a recommendation to have DuBois County garage doors replace the garage doors for the electric building.
Motion by Glenn,
I'll second it.
second by Steve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, well, it's done.
That, then 2 meetings ago, we got approval to get the SCADA, we sent out for bids for the SCADA system for the electric department. As of right now, we don't have any of our SCADA system down, not able to be fixed. So we sent out bids to 5 companies. We got bids back for 3. As you can see, I got the sheet there with the 3 bids that we opened. Patterson and DeWare, the cheapest, $179, $265. The highest being $266, $680. And then the bill quote $194.
Who had the equipment before us, John? Did you tell me that it was through Patterson doing it
Actually,
before?
Patterson and DeWare was they installed the ones in 2004, a generic SCADA system. When we built the north sub, this was the same company. So we're real familiar with our system. So I feel very confident that we don't have any problems with the installer.
Have you had them back for service over the years or anything, or
We've had him come up and look at our system.
a couple times? Yes.
And he basically said it hasn't been updated, it's out of date. He said roughly that's the 3rd edition. Now they're on the 13th edition, when he was up here a couple of years ago. He said it's basically outdated. So they would replace the processors in each substation and monitors and reprogram everything.
Yeah.
Is there a warranty or anything on those things? Or is there a time
Yeah.
limit?
Plus their yearly updates that come in.
Yeah, this is a proposal. That's the cost. Is there like an annual contract too on top of it?
Yeah, maintenance.
A maintenance contract
The first year is included in this price.
in that one?
Second and third year, it's like $4,800. They come in and update everything,
Okay.
keep it up to date.
Phil, we got these 3 bids. We need to do anything here?
Yeah, actually, you can award to the lowest bid, lowest responsive bid. I think John's indicating that Patterson Door is the lowest.
Yeah, they're quite a bit lower
We
actually.
went through the 2 public notices,
Yep.
we did all the,
Did you work with Midwestern Engineers? No, who did you work with?
last year was HIPAA,
Okay, that's right.
and all the bids were rejected last year.
So we used this company before, or?
We used them
They built the original one, he said.
in 2004, they're under a different name, they've been bought out since.
Okay.
And just for instance, when we had the outage last week when we lost the north sub, I had no idea. Didn't have a SCADA system.
Just drive around.
You called the Steinkamps was out. I thought, well, is it just Steinkamps? Before you hung up with you, Master Brown was calling. So I talked to him, he was out, and then before I hung up with him, Touch of Class called. Before I hung up with him, OFS was calling, so I thought, we got a major problem.
And then 50-some others called City Hall, so.
If I would've had their new SCADA system, I just could've got my phone out, it will send an alert. So right away, I would've known that we got a major problem somewhere, but the only way I knew was people calling me. It kept getting worse and worse, so we got a big problem.
I don't have any problem with it. Anybody? Questions?
I entertain a motion and
I'd make a motion to accept the quote from Patterson and DeWar Engineers for $179,265.
okay, there's a motion on the table. Have a second? Second by Jose. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
John, can I ask, with that SCADA system in place, would you actually see a map on your phone to show where the outages were? Or what does the technology actually look like to you?
With this package, it's endless what you can put on your phone. But what we put on our phone is just going to be an informational. We won't be able to operate anything. The information, we can put whatever we want on the phone. It's a possibility.
I assume all the people on call will have that access. Everybody.
We're working where we can, they'll have the app where they can get on their phone if they're on call.
Right.
And let's say if there's a storm that comes through on the weekend, guys on call, you can just watch his phone, and you have a circuit go out, the alarm will go off on his phone, so he knows he'll be ready. Or if a storm comes through and the alarms don't go off, and you get a call from dispatch, you know it's kind of an isolated outage instead of a major outage. It's be a good deal.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
With the approval of the SCADA system, that was one of my, I put the sheet in your, on your packet. That was one of my top capital expenditures for 2021. My original estimate was 225. Kind of went from last year's quotes we got in, and that was a high bid last year. Kind of took that figure. So it's like 45,000 under what I was going to project. So that makes 4 out of the 5 major capital expenditures that have been approved. The 5th one is the smart meters. That figure is roughly half of the residential meters, but a lot of it depends on the water meters when I can get started.
And the building department, I assume.
Building department, just figured we may put this off till next year, time to get everything set up.
Would there be any advantage to buying the meters in 2021 as opposed to 2022?
Good,
Because of everything else seems to be going up.
going up, and the time to get the items once you, seems like everything you order now.
I mean, it's
is-
20 weeks or 30 weeks or whatever anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a change in technology on the horizon or,
yeah, I know it. I'll have to check into it. I can work toward the purchase of my residential meters.
I think you ought to at least investigate it as far as, because of the, if with the lead times are as long as everything else, it might be next year.
Yeah,
We're halfway through the year already.
And those meters will be able to be read by the same thing the water department's using.
yeah,
That's perfect.
the same technology, same software.
Same antennas or whatever's on the towers or whatever they are, gonna read it. So,
And we can change them out pretty fast in electrics, basically.
yeah.
See if anybody's home, pull the meter, put the new meter in, it's gonna take longer to fill the paperwork out. And then I gotta work with the billing department,
Yeah.
so it's a work in progress.
So you said this estimate in here was for half of the meters in town?
Half of the residential meters, just residential, that's no commercial or industrial meters.
Okay.
Smaller amperages.
So we're going to incur, you're going to see that cost again next year for the second part of it? Or how long will it take for you to get these meters in and be ready to purchase more?
I'll have to check into that.
But that
I
was
think water was a 4-year project, wasn't it?
5-year project.
Yeah.
That's more time consuming.
It's very more,
If we can get the rest of our meters purchased this year, we'll have it done in 3. It's a 5-year.
a little more labor intensive on a water meter though.
Electric, I can change it out real quick.
Yeah. It's almost like,
Faster than we can get them, obviously.
that's probably like changing a breaker or something.
Yeah. Like I say, paperwork's gonna take longer than changing the meter out.
So what's the consensus, to get him, go ahead and get some estimates as far as
Just wanted to go ahead and,
Do I need to make a motion to that or anything, or
just for estimates?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea to authorize him to start, authorize him to get estimates, quotes, or whatever.
I'd make a motion to that, to go ahead and
council meeting next month, I'll have.
get an update on, price and
Lead time.
availability and
Lead time,
all that kind of stuff, because, it may be next year at this point, we just don't know.
never know.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I did hand out, way of getting in on the electric charging station.
Yeah.
This is what the charging station's gonna look like.
Now, this is something we've got a grant for already.
Yeah, we got the grant approved, put the cost in there. What the station's gonna cost. Total $12,571. See, we get approved for a $9,000 grant once everything's finished, paperwork's turned in. And that's what, like I said, it's a CT 4000, that's what it's gonna look like.
And just so everybody knows too, this was what we were planning on putting originally down in Market Street Phase 2. But by doing that, it would take up part of the area that we need to do for what we're doing as far as the pavilion and the fire pit and all that type of thing. So instead of putting it down there, we thought about putting it up here at City Hall as far as in the parking lot here next to the garage, which is close to where fire would be anyway. And I talked with John about that, and he thinks it would be a better idea to have it there than trying to Market Street Park. So that's probably what's going to happen. So it takes up too much space to what we need to do as far as what we're trying to do for Market Street Park Phase 2 down there. So
It can be well lit. It's fairly good, close walking downtown to the shops and restaurants. If somebody wants to pull in, charge their vehicle.
I'm gonna ask something, and I don't mean it, I mean it in the most positive way. But would there be any advantage to putting this in the alley project? Is there power similar there? Aren't we gonna have some spaces there?
Yeah, if you get through the Methodist Church property we're getting.
Yeah.
Get back through there.
Yeah.
Is that just gonna be alley or is there gonna be parking?
There'll be parking, there's gonna be 13 parking spots in that.
Just public?
Yes.
See, that's the thing, we're here, if you take away those 4 parking spots that we have to reserve, because you wouldn't be able to let people park there unless they're charging their car.
See, right now, it's just the two,
Well,
For 2 spaces, yeah.
Right.
and depends on how it progresses the next several years, you can add on to it, because there'll be provisions in this, the breaker panel we install.
To add on.
that Feed 2 more.
It's a good idea, though. I mean, it's a good idea to, if that's the case.
I'd like to investigate that. I mean,
Well, we don't have to decide right now where we're putting it. I mean, basically, it's just a matter of getting him approval to go ahead and get the order in.
Just would have
So
to be
before it goes up,
to get-
August the 1st, it's gonna go up the price again, it says.
If you get the grant, it's gotta be installed by the end of this year.
Yeah, by the end of the year. So that might push us a little bit for the alleyway there a little bit, I don't know.
unless you put it here temporarily and move it there eventually, or buy another one.
I mean, maybe we put the second one there. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, I don't have any qualms about it. It just don't, I like to be, it seems like that's the hub. That's where the hub of, the Market Street Park, that's where all the activity is.
Like
I
I said,
mean,
we can always purchase.
it was
one.
last weekend.
Oh, well, that's very good.
We can always purchase one on our own, do it.
Right, so you need approval to go ahead and
Order it.
order it?
Yeah.
Order it tomorrow morning.
I don't have any objections to this.
It says no major, we want to put one over there and cover the cost. I mean, it's not a great, big expense.
It's not as much as a
This will
transformer.
give us a chance to see if it's gonna be used,
Yeah,
Right.
get it in place and use
Well,
it.
that way too, we can keep an eye on it too a little bit for City Hall's concerned to see it, because there's cameras already there.
Cameras.
Cameras there, some
so-
signage.
be
Yeah.
well lit.
I assume we'll be able to put some signage available somewhere to direct people to this?
Yes.
Or, well, hell, I think these cars, I think the cars tell them where they go.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think the cars tell them where the charging stations are. Don't you register these things
Yeah.
somewhere?
It'll be registered on the national database, I guess. And when you get an electric vehicle, you punch something in and tell you where your charging stations are at.
Yeah, here's all your options before you run
Comes
out.
back and says, sorry, not enough time.
So,
All right, do I hear a motion to go ahead and let him order the charging station?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Glenn,
I'll second it.
second by Jeff, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed?
Will there be a way to charge people using a charger?
Is that?
Will there be a meter or something?
Yeah, there's an electric meter on it.
And we'll have to establish a rate.
Yeah, I'll have to work with the company that comes put them in, because I want to look at Jasper.
I noticed they approved the rate at the last utility board meeting.
That'll come when they come install, they'll have a rate.
I assume the rate's pretty minimal, isn't it?
I'll check with Jasper.
It's cheaper than gas, I'm sure.
I was saying, it can't be as much as filling your tank. So,
Doesn't go as far though.
nope.
Yeah.
How long is they suggesting it takes somebody to charge their car from, 20% to full? Any idea?
Is it
I
on here?
think a couple hours to get a
I think it's an hour or two for the whole thing.
For the whole
You-
charge, a couple hours.
It's enough time to get a sandwich, do some shopping.
About 30 minutes, you can get enough to get you
Like I say,
to the next one.
Just enough to go
Technology.
shopping downtown before you come back, right?
Right.
technology is changing a lot in that industry too. So
That's
it's
right.
good. This year or two down the road is going to be,
What'd you tell me about Mercedes the other day?
Mercedes-Benz announced that starting in 2030, the only vehicle they will be making will be electric.
I heard that.
But that leaves me out. 'cause
Leaves me
we run
out.
Mercedes-Benz.
So anything else, John?
Should do it.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Jerry?
Hello, Jerry.
We'll start with distribution. We found 5 lead service lines on 5th Street between Washington and Van Buren. We talked about that last meeting. We went ahead and got them switched out and replaced with copper. Doing that work, we ended up having 2 8-inch valves at the intersection of 5th and Van Buren. That when we shut them down, they dropped and we couldn't open them back up. So they're old valves. They use packing, and we ended up replacing those with resilient seat valves. They operate a lot better, stainless steel hardware. It should last a lifetime. From there, we jumped back up to Washington Street to our project up there to kill that 6-inch water main. We've got 2 fire hydrants that need to be moved yet, and we had Jasper Water come in and do our 6-inch taps on our 8-inch main for that. We do have 1 hydrant placed. We've got 1 more to set tomorrow. And from there, we'll just be doing some line stops and some tie-ins in the intersection from 1st to 3rd Street. We've got 6 new water services this month between Hunter's Crossing and Chestnut Gardens. And we had the old Carico building at 950 West 12th Street that OFS bought. They cut that parking lot down tremendously, so we went out there and we lowered that water service. That way our water service wouldn't freeze. That's all for distribution. With the filter plant, we spoke about the Torque RS Logic 5000 software and battery backup a while back, and I spoke with John Wetzel about adding that to our SRF loan. And in order for us to do that, we would have had to run it through Reynolds. They were going to do a 10% markup on it, so it would have been an extra $900. And we'd had to have guaranteed it would have been ordered and installed before they were done. They finished up last week, and the projected date on that is still a couple months out to get the material in. So getting that included in that loan is not possible. We had our filter number 4, which is an old filter in the original side of the plant, sprung a leak. The wall had been repaired before by NCSP Seal, and actually the injection sites that it was repaired in last time, and that's been 10 plus years ago, started leaking. I think it's when we took the plant down to rebuild the plant and bring it back up, it caused some issues there. They came in and fixed that for us and took care of that problem with the walls not leaking anymore. And then on to our metering system. We are continuing to install Year 5 meters, installing them as we can, working with the building department. The meter system is reading very well. We have 2 stale reads as of today. And those come and go as the weather changes. We're still contacting customers with water leaks with that system. We do that every day. I think the last month we've had anywhere from 2 to 15 leaks a day that we go hang door tags at. So they're doing their job. And then from there, the Steinkamp's curb line, just to touch on that a little bit. I sent Steve an email and he said he was going to share it with you guys. I've been in contact with John Wetzel, Joe Gill, and Randy Carey from NDOT. Randy told us that the permits given to J.H. Rudolph are in place right now, and until their construction's done, we need to hold off with whatever we end up doing there. He said once their work is done, to get back in contact with him, and he'll let us know if we need a permit to do that. John Wetzel is still going through emails. He said he's probably got close to 6,000 emails between him and the contractor that was doing the work, trying to figure out where the height of the curb got lost and who is responsible for that. I spoke with him today, and he still hasn't found that information out, but I believe we've got a little bit of time with that with the highway project yet. I'm kind of hopeful. I went out there the other day and measured it. They don't have their top coat on yet. They said it was going to be about 2 inches, and the curb set's at about 5.5 inches. So kind of hoping that it might take care of the problem once they get that top coat put down. From there, I'd like to jump back up to our metering system. I included this a little late. Got some information given to me. with our SRF loan, we've still got roughly $130,000, I believe, is me and Tom have been talking about that, and that's not set in stone yet. We've still got a bill to pay. Our last 250 meters will cost us $79,000, and that will complete our residential meter program. Census is EJP is telling us that they can fulfill that order before October if we order them yet this month. And if we could get those in October and the billing department's back up to par, we could have our whole metering system done this year. That's with 12 meters a day. We could finish the install in the month of October if the weather works with us and no rain days. I know it's a big thing with John getting his started. I know as far as our reading system downstairs with the girls, I believe that's becoming out of date. We need to do something with that as well. So I don't know if you guys have looked that much, and it's all contingent to what we've got left in that SRF loan. I know we are capable to do this with that loan. I'd like to purchase those meters.
Any questions you guys have?
We have the funding set up, I would have to approve with it, you know, if the funding's there.
And John was saying that if we found things that were not attached to the ground, like equipment, and that probably would be approved through the SRF.
And then this is all just, depending on whether they'll let us do it or not. I've been trying to figure out a way to purchase these meters. I'd like to get this done, that way he can start. I've been looking at our finances, and then when he brought this to me, this kind of shed a new light on it a little bit. And if we could do it with that, I think it'd be a great thing.
I agree.
I think we've probably got 10 different brands of meters still in the ground. I'm afraid if we don't get this done, by the time we do, we're gonna end up with that all over again. I hope not.
You could, if you choose, you could approve it, subject to SRF financing, being able to fund it through SRF.
Yes.
I would do that.
I'd make that motion.
Motion made by Glenn,
Subject to financing.
Finance on Bill said.
second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I do have one more, and this kind of went with that too. I would like to get permission to get bids on replacing our 2007 Ford F-450 service truck. We've had some costly repairs in the last months, and the last time it was in the shop, we were told it needs head gaskets. Steve will know about that. It's a 6.0 diesel. The cab has to come off the truck in order to do it. Plus, it has a bad flex plate. The starter has wore a flat spot in the flex plate, so the transmission has to come off the engine as well. To repair that, Cal gave me an estimated cost of about $58,000 to do that work. It still needs to be done to it. With that being said,
58,000 or 58?
sorry, 5,800. I apologize. 5,800.
My guess was $6,000 to do head gaskets.
Yeah. So you're right there. Yes. With that being said, the truck is in really rough shape. The doors on the service box come open going down the road. If you hit a bump hard enough, the locking mechanisms are wore out of them. The air compressor is no longer operable. The stabilizer jacks for the crane do not operate anymore. And the hydraulic system, when we use it, it leaks more than we use, to be honest. The floor in the bed is also rusted out. So we either need to put a whole bunch of money in this truck or look at purchasing a new one, and that could be part of this SRF money as well. They would allow us to do equipment with that. I did kind of go back through some things. Since 2013 to 2019, we've spent $13,000 in repairs at Ruxure Ford for that truck. And from 2019 to current, we've got almost $6,000 in repairs at Kelly's Automotive. That's not including what our own mechanic has done here in-house.
Can you get, I don't have any problem with this other than, can you get a new truck?
Well, that's the thing.
Is one available?
But the thing is, with this SRF loan, I'm sure there's a deadline on closing this loan out. So if we could get bids in and we could go ahead and purchase the truck with this loan,
Now, a commercial truck might be easier to obtain because there's some out there.
it could very well be. And
One ton,
that's-
3/4 ton?
I would like to go with a 1-ton gas dually is what I'd like to look for. That'd be replacing a F450 diesel. It's
That's
little-
you got a 450?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have an idea in mind what the cost would be, a rough estimate?
I really don't. This is kind of on the fly, really, with the information I just found. I tried to gather as much information as I could, and
70?
I would say roughly probably $60,000 to $70,000 for the truck. We're looking at
With a bed?
a pretty basic work truck, yeah, with a bed. Pretty basic work truck. We're not wanting to go back with hydraulics or the crane. We don't use those really.
Is it crane for lifting valves and stuff?
That was the intentions. I was told from one of the employees that's been here 10 years, they've seen it used about 3 times. We always have a mini excavator or backhoe.
That's what
with
I'm
us.
saying, there's always something
So,
there.
It's not necessary. The air compressor we use a lot.
I can see that.
And a thing that I would like to include, doing away with the hydraulics and the crane would be a generator. We borrow the street department service truck with a generator on it all the time. We're constantly going down there and borrowing the truck to use the generator.
Yeah, that would be,
That's something you buy separately and mount it on the
You
truck
can do it either
yourself?
way. You can spec it out on the truck, or you can, and really, I would like to get quotes both ways. I know there's not going to be a ton of money left for this SRF loan, so if we could do it with the SRF loan and just buy the bare truck, that would help out tremendously to us as far as finances go. And then we could do
Right.
the generator and the compressor at a later.
right, pretty big generator for,
Right, they have a 3,000 watt Honda power inverter. They run roughly $2,500, and it's ran everything we've had to hook up to it.
I would just say to have them get quotes or something, bring it back and see what we're going
yeah, I think you need to, what do you call it,
get bids or something.
Yeah.
Of course, your quote, it's gonna be under 100,000.
Yeah.
Request 3 quotes, make sure everybody's quoting on the same thing.
Right.
yeah. I wouldn't have,
Motion for-
I wouldn't, I proceed with getting,
You might as well.
Well, might as well make a
Brought up
motion, I
just
guess, to do that.
I'll make a motion to that, go ahead and move forward on investigating the purchase of a truck.
Okay, Motion by,
Parts and availability, pricing, all that.
okay, motion by Steve.
I'll second it.
Second, by Jeff. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And that is all I've got.
I have a question on distribution, and I don't know if you have the answer, but when we talked about these 5 lead service lines on 5th Street, that is on our side of the system.
Yes.
Do we have history of every one we've ever replaced somewhere? If, can you tell me what's in my front yard?
Well, and that's a good question. That's something we're working on too. So all the lead has to be removed by 2024. Last year and this year up to today, we've removed close to 82 lead service lines. We went back with a map of the city, and they outlawed lead at a certain date. I'm not going to give it to you because I don't want to lie to you. I'm not sure what it is offhand. But we went back to that date with Greg Miller, Gary Meyerholtz,
Mark
and
Craig.
Rex Breedemeyer, and marked everything that was after that date. From there, we've started doing potholing. We've had the energy department come out with their hydro excavator. We went as far as that as to when they're not available, we'll go out with our mini and we'll pothole service lines.
Yeah.
We try to do it behind the curb line. Granted, with a hydro excavator, we're making a whole lot less mess for the community. It's a little nicer. There are grants out there for this Lake Copper rule, and I'd like to, as soon as one comes up, I'd like to look at going forth with that grant. It costs us roughly $3,000 to replace a service line. After we excavate it, we can't use the same corp stop that's on the main because it has lead in it as well. So they sell a clamp that has a corp stop built into it. By the time we do that, we tap the main, run the new service over, set the meter, and put the road back. We're looking at roughly $3,000 with labor. So They will give grant money for labor, material, and equipment as needed. My hopes is to be able to get that and get some of that covered, plus maybe even look at the water department buying a hydro excavator.
Yeah, I know they make smaller ones. I know that they have, some of the cities in the surrounding, they have smaller ones than we have. I've seen them. So it'd be, for that, it'd be a nice little tool.
Yes, it would. We could make a really quick work of that.
So, okay, like I said, I didn't know. I know that they've been working on it. They've been talking about it since the 90s.
Right.
I didn't know when.
Now, the new lead copper rule that came out this year, if we dig up a lead service line on our side, and the customer's side is a galvanized service line, the city is responsible to pay for the cost to replace that service line as well.
Oh, wow.
That was passed on to the city this year per item. So,
Thank them very much.
Thanks.
yeah.
Anything else for Jerry?
Mm.
Nope.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bill, you want to talk about the flood hazard control ordinance?
Yes, as I kind of prefaced at our last meeting, when we adopted the UDO, we excluded from the UDO our flood hazard ordinance because it's easier to amend the flood hazard ordinance if it ever needs to be amended, if it's not contained within the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance. So that was excluded, taken out of our zoning code, our UDO ordinance. But in order to have homes eligible for federal flood insurance, we must have a flood hazard ordinance. And so I distributed the proposed draft was based upon the state model, state of Indiana model, meeting all state and federal requirements. It's very similar, if not identical, to what we had in our old zoning code. It's just taken out of the zoning code, and it's going to be a standalone chapter in our code book. So it would be administered by our zoning department or zoning administrator. It only affects areas that are in flood hazard areas, and those flood hazard areas are areas that are determined based upon a FEMA map that was prepared back in October 2014. I believe the only areas that would be subject to in the city of Huntingburg currently, unless the map changes, would be the area around the water treatment plant, the wastewater treatment plant, some of Argent Street, some of north of First Street. That's agricultural ground now. If that were ever to be developed or further developed, any of those areas, they would have to comply with the specific standards that this ordinance sets out and that are mandated by the state and by FEMA. So it sets forth standards for residential structures in these flood hazard areas, for non-residential structures, for elevated structures, for structures that are constructed on fill dirt. It's all set forth in the ordinance. It's all required by state and federal law. So my recommendation would be, I think I gave it to you about 3 weeks ago. The recommendation would be to maybe introduce it at this meeting and have it available for public inspections in case someone has questions or wants to make comment, and then maybe adopt it at a later meeting.
What would that ordinance be, Tom? Number?
2021, 24.
2021, 24? Do I have a motion to accept the ordinance?
Actually introduce.
I introduced the ordinance, sorry.
Motion to introduce.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Glenn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Very good. That's correct. Unless you want to pass it tonight, I'll suspend the rules.
I don't see any reason to. Just let it, since,
That's fine.
in case there's a public comment
Yeah,
or something,
I
but
would think too, we should let the public have a chance to comment on it.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything different. It's mostly definitions.
That's a lot of, your accent, half of the ordinance is definitions.
All right, one other thing we've got, which Phil just, I think, talked about last meeting, that had to do with the Du Bois REC transfer of property or transfer of, I guess, the signed areas for service that we're going to exchange with REC for having the street department in our service district versus Jasper or versus REC district. And Phil put together the service area agreement to do that with, and unfortunately we couldn't get it in the board pack in time because we just got it this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a very simple agreement. It's just an agreement whereby Du Bois REC agrees to give us the territory where our street department is located. In exchange, they would like, and that's about 4 acres or more, I think.
4.7 acres, yeah.
Almost 5 acres. And they would like a 3.4 acre tract that is situated at the southeast corner of Phoenix Drive and 400 West. It's catty corner to the solid waste recycling center.
Right.
Their energy supplier, Hoosier Energy, is going to build a substation there that will just service Du Bois REC. And so they would like to have their substation in their service territory. And it makes sense. And we would like to be able to be paying ourselves
Right.
For energy rather than paying Du Bois REC.
So where again was this 3-point-some acres? Where's this? Phoenix Drive?
It's up at Phoenix Drive and 400 West. The
Catty corner from the dumpsters?
catty corner from the dumpsters, right across the
From the-
Phoenix Drive from Superior Ag.
Right.
It's actually owned by Vocals right now.
Yeah.
Vocal Farms. They're going to purchase it from him, if I understood, so.
I would,
There'd be no funds exchange, no exchange of monies. They don't have any service facilities in our district. We have some transmission or distribution lines, but that wouldn't interfere with their use. We have some distribution lines in the area that they're going to take over, but we would be permitted to keep those there.
John, what's your opinion?
I think we talked to John about it. John was okay with it, I think, so.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine. I think that makes reasonable sense.
Once the agreement is signed, then we have to apply to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission to approve the exchange, and we don't anticipate that being a problem. The only reason they would not approve it is if an existing customer in one of those territories objects. We're the only customer in either territory. So I guess a motion to approve
Motion to
that
approve.
agreement would be,
They got an ordinance 2020.
it's just
It's just an assigned service area is all.
It's just an agreement by motion.
I'm making a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Steve. Second by Jose. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the last thing we've got, Tom, I think we just need to confirm the date the budget's, we're going to work on the budgets, is that correct?
Well, the last thing was, there's an ordinance in here to approve the supplement of the municipal code ordinances.
Right. So every year.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
Every year, we update our code of ordinance book with code ordinances that we've adopted the previous year. And so you have before you a proposed ordinance that would supplement our existing code book with all those ordinances up through, I'm sorry, I don't have it open in front of me, but it's up through the last ordinance we put in the supplement, I think in March or so this year. I think it included the UDO and
It's through past date 2021-13.
okay. So every year we adopt it.
It's just enough. It just allows for our update.
Right, right,
Then we put a copy of it, what, in the library or somewhere.
right.
Right here.
Right there, yeah.
There you go.
Well, I mean, for the public.
Yeah.
Library, courthouse, and of course, city office in each of yours.
That would be 2021-25.
Do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Introduce.
Just introduce,
the
isn't it?
ordinance.
Motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce by Steve.
I'll second it.
Second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Make a motion to approve tonight. We have to do that.
You can suspend the rules, make a motion to suspend the rules with unanimous consent.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I need a motion to adopt.
Yep.
Motion to adopt.
Motion adopted by Glenn, second by Jose. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Dubon.
Aye.
Ware. Kissling.
Aye.
Bounce.
Aye.
McFerrin.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 absent.
Okay.
Nothing to it.
Now we'll go to the budget date. I think I sent out to each of everybody, whether it be the 11th, 12th, or 19th, those were the 3 days I think we discussed before. I don't know what, many said the 18th was not available. So whatever, Tom, it's up to you too, as far as the council too, as to what's the, any of those dates okay with you?
I'll be gone on the 19th,
Okay.
so I'd like to obviously be
Okay,
here.
Sure.
So what was the other 2 days left in?
11th and 12th.
Those
were
2 days, okay with everybody else?
Yeah, everybody else. Tim said he was okay with him
Either
too.
one's good for me.
I do have an appointment on the 11th, but I can cancel it.
12th is more available for me right now.
All right.
If that's good for anybody, good with everyone else.
12th works for me.
I can do 12th. I can move what I got. I can move my stuff.
Jose said the 12th is okay with him. Tim said any of those dates were fine with him.
Suits me.
Let's do
So
12th.
We'll make it the 12th.
So 2 meetings in the 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 1.
I'll make it early as far as I'm concerned.
9's fine. Break for lunch and come back and finish up.
9 and 1.
Yep.
August the 12th it is.
And Tom, you take care of public, open door notice.
Anything else, Tom?
Nope.
Any other items we brought up for the council? No citizens here, so
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Glenn,
I'll second it.
second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not
Opposed?
used to being involved in that.
Me either.
It's usually Tim.